Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan, and this is a little bit of a special video. I really want to welcome everyone who is going to be able to learn a little bit more about Flare. And we have this up-and-coming distribution of the Spark token for the holders of the digital asset XRP, should they wish to participate in that claiming process. And on this video, we are really thrilled to have Hugo Phillion, the co-founder and CEO of Flare. And wow, what a team he has. And they have quite the project that's being built. Now, if you're not familiar with Flare, you can access more at flare.xyz on the internet, and you can get acquainted with their documentation. So I'm going to let Hugo introduce himself. And to help me today is also the digital nomad investor. Everybody knows him as DNI. And I think we have some questions prepared, not only from the community, but also myself. I came up with a couple, and we have a few questions from Mickey B. Fresh and Sam I Am, who is To the Lifeboats on YouTube. And then also DNI has come with some questions. And we're also going to get a little bit of information in regards to how that claiming process might happen in a little more detail. So, but first, let me bring Hugo Phillion onto the site here, and very nice to see you, Hugo. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm Hugo. I'm the co-founder of Flare. And in the sort of first instance, we're bringing smart contracts to the XRP network. And you can find out quite a lot more also at our blog, which is flare.ghost.io.
Yeah, that would be a good one too. That is also a really good. Thank you for reminding everyone on that. Now, I want to just start off with saying, wow, so we got this really great tweet that was put out there by Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, and he tweeted out that Flare is combining the best of XRP, very fast settlements and the Ethereum smart contracts along with the Avalanche consensus, and it should extend XRP's utility and allow for some new use cases. I think it's all very meaningful for the XRP holders. Do you have anything to add to that, Hugo?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what the project is aiming to do. We see XRP and what Ripple are doing as an extremely important project. But it's going to take time for that project to execute and to get the full traction that it deserves. And so we are coming along as a sort of slightly different offering, and we're creating sort of additional use cases for the XRP asset. And so and just otherwise it's been a total pleasure working with Ripple and Xspring. So that's a nice comment to hear.
Yeah, it was. I think everyone was really happy to see that come through. And then also, you have a little bit, some new news. You have two very talented developers and engineers joining you from Towa Labs. And I think they're going to help you build out the network. Is that right? That's Marcus and Patrick, right?
Yeah, so Towa were invested in, I think, last year by Xspring. And we met Marcus and Patrick in December 2019. Just thought they were completely awesome. They're incredibly talented. And they're the perfect people to help us, make Flare even better and more secure.
Yeah, I did see that they're going to continue to develop that toolkit for the wallet support still. And Spring invested in them in October 2019, and they do that toolkit, I think, for the Nano X, the Nano S, and they provide that really good graphical user interface. So it's really wonderful that they are involved. And then I think the one thing I wanted to touch on before we dive into the questions was, oh my gosh, so we have like 980 million XRP so far that have been set up or prepared to get that snapshot. Is that right? And that's like 17,000 plus accounts coming out to like 240 million in
Yeah,
XRP?
absolutely. So that's actually, that's a great result, and I think it was a little over 10 days since we announced the process for claiming that happened. So the support from XRP holders has been very strong, and that's amazing. But it is only a small section of XRP holders in that number that essentially can claim. So those are people that are self-custodied and people generally that use the Zoom wallet. So exchanges that are coming on board, such as the 4 partner exchanges we have at the moment, it's increasing in number. You know, Anchor USD, GateHub, Uphold, and Bitrue. You know, those represent way more than 980 million. So the number is not quite it's not representative of the participation. And as we build out that that support network, and as we start talking to other people like custodians, we expect that number to get very, very much larger quite quickly.
I am sure. And I guess I am just so surprised that within just the short period of time people have had to set it up. And I know that a lot of people are sitting waiting to see if their exchange is going to participate. So we know that GateHub, Bitrue, Uphold, and Anchor have all publicly said, yes, we are going to do it. And eToro, BitBank in Japan, SBI VC Trade, BTC Markets, CoinSpot AU, and Bitstamp are all kind of in that exploration, asking questions, figuring it out stage. Is that right?
Absolutely. And we've been talking to Celsius also, who are not technically an exchange. They're sort of a financial service provider, and other financial service providers who haven't announced that they're talking to us yet.
Well, I know that the date for sure, though, is set. That's the 12th of December for the snapshot, right?
Yeah.
On the anniversary of
Martha Costin's birth.
What a great story. I really, really love that story. All right. So, D&I, just tell everybody you're here and what's going on with you.
What's going on with me? Well, yeah, I'm on a little bit of a hiatus from my channel, and I've just been observing the global events. And you guys know, most people know already, I cover geopolitical influences on crypto, and especially particularly XRP. So there's some milestone events I've been watching or waiting for with the IMF, the G20, the other event at Davos in January. So just sitting back in a holding pattern, waiting, and when I have something new to report past the stuff I've already covered, I'll jump into action again.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I am sure everybody's really waiting for that, but there's going to be a lot happening in November, December, and January. So, Hugo, we are going to start with some of these community questions, just 3 basically. And the first one is, what is the purpose of Flare?
So we need to break this down into, I suppose, time frame, or various different things that we could look at. So the immediate purpose of Flare is to provide a platform for XRP value to be used with smart contracts, and we've defined that quite sort of succinctly, I think, with the FXRP system and the Flare paper. So that's really the first purpose. And then we've, also in that Flare paper is defined something called the Spark-derived applications. And these will allow that system to expand such that the value from other networks that are not Turing complete, like Bitcoin or Litecoin, could be replicated in the same way that FXRP is being put onto the network. That is something that will have to be sort of is a governance issue, and something that Spark token holders will vote on over time.
Great.
So that's really the first purpose. But then there's a larger purpose. So our first purpose is really bringing together the value of the ecosystems, and in the way that we think is is sensible. The second purpose is a little more technical in nature. And so when we started this back in 2017, we were just getting the first flushes of the scaling ideas from the communities across blockchain as to how to scale Ethereum, or how to scale smart contracts, really. And what you've seen over the last couple of years is a huge move into proof of stake. And proof of stake is great, but it has some issues that we sort of considered a while back. One of those issues is something that a researcher called Taran Chitra has put a paper out on, which is that alternative uses for the token, alternative uses for a staking token, can cannibalize the safety of those networks. Now, actually, although that can probably be rectified in certain ways, that's actually the least of the issues we have with proof of stake as a scaling algorithm. Really, the largest issue we have is that it's extremely inefficient in terms of capital usage. To illustrate this, let's just define what proof of stake is doing. Essentially, it's basing the safety of the network on the value of the staking token. So when Ethereum moves to proof of stake, the safety of the network will partly be based on the value of Ethereum. So that really caps the use cases that it can reliably be used for without a massive expansion of the value. The problem with having a massive expansion of the value is this. Now, let's say you want to represent the value of a stock market on a blockchain that is using proof of stake. Let's say that stock market is worth $1 trillion. You would have to obviously have all those assets represented on the chain, and that's $1 trillion worth of value. Now, that's fine, but then to secure those assets on the chain, you've got to have a vast amount of stake. And that's where your capital inefficiency comes from. So, and in order for that stake to occur, to exist, it's not the case that things just automatically go up in value. They don't. That is happening because people are essentially buying tokens, and ultimately, for it to reach that kind of value, people would have to be buying these staking tokens in such a vast amount that they would be diverting really very meaningful amounts of capital away from other productive uses to this use. So that's our core issue with proof of stake, in that we think it scales the number of transactions per second, but we think it falls down in the scaling of value. And we haven't seen convincing arguments as to why that's not the case. So that's our sort of first major issue with proof of stake. Our second major issue with proof of stake is because it's controlled by a token, because the network is controlled by a token. The network's safety is controlled by a token. Ultimately, the owners of that token control the network, and that's fine, except if the owners of that network are somewhat nefarious, or it allows for actors who one wouldn't wish, or not even one, but who businesses simply wouldn't wish to be in control of the network, to take control of that network. And so what that means is that I feel it's going to be extremely hard for businesses who wish to use public blockchain to adequately get comfortable with the risk that those tokens and the control of the network could actually support their business, and that they wouldn't be at risk from some kind of issue. So that's really what is the purpose of Flare? Flare does not use value for safety. It's built in the same way that XRP is built. It's a sort of federated Byzantine agreement or UNL-based network, and so we are not basing the safety of the network on the value of a token. So we're just taking a very different direction on how we reach consensus. We feel that that scales both for number of transactions per second and also for essentially use cases or what you can do with the network. So sorry for the long and slightly technical explanation, but this is an important point and one of the reasons why we've been working on this for 3 years.
Yeah, brilliant. And it's understood. And I'm really sure that people will appreciate understanding that purpose. And here's it's a simple question, but it's coming up often. And so I think it's important to ask. And people are asking, why would I trade in my XRP for this new token? And so we just want to make it clear so people understand this.
No one's trading anything. You're simply using essentially, if you have XRP, you can claim Spark. There's no trade. You don't give up XRP. If you claim Spark, you'll end up with your XRP and your Spark too.
Right. I think that's important because that was, I know that has been coming up often. And then what is it that this Spark token can do that XRP can't do?
Okay, so it's not the token. So Spark is the token of the network, but the network is a smart contract network. And Spark is used to collateralize or basically to provide safety to the FXRP system.
Perfect.
And the FXRP system is the system that allows for the decentralized or trustless issuance of XRP on Flare. So what that means is that you have sort of XRP on Flare, and that then allows you to use XRP with smart contracts. So the XRP ledger is really awesome and really well engineered for its use case, which is really fast settlement. I mean, as we've dug further and further into the XRP ledgers, we've been building out the FXRP system and the state connector system. You know, we've really come to appreciate how well built it is, and it's perfectly built for its use case. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to essentially expand the use cases. And so without affecting the XRP ledger itself. So Flare will have minimal to no effect on the XRP ledger. It's just about transporting the value of XRP onto Flare. And then it can be used with smart contracts in many different ways. And smart contracts, all they are really is programs that run on a blockchain. So that's what a smart contract is. And then what that allows you to do is essentially, so at the moment on, say, the XRP ledger, you have a limited amount of things you can do with the XRP token. And that was a design decision. And that's why XRP is so fast and so cheap to use. But with smart contracts, we can take that XRP and we can do a lot more things with it. So we can say, for instance, we can use it to collateralize the issuance of a stable token. And let's say a dollar-based, a dollar-pegged stable token. And then one of the things that is quite exciting and something we've been having quiet conversations with is, if there's a stable token on Flare, that stable token will be built by parties that are not us. We have no intentions right now to build a stable token. So that would be external developers, of which we are aware that there's several parties who are very interested in building a stable token. But what we can potentially do with that stable token, or what can be done with that stable token, is that it could potentially then be used, it could potentially be issued in a trustless way as an IOU on the XRP ledger, which would be really cool, because then that would allow for a decentralized, trustless issuance of a stable token on the XRP ledger, which we would be very excited by. So that's something that I know various parties are thinking about. We're helping them think through that process. It's not something we're undertaking to build, but it's something we're certainly, if people are interested in doing that, it's something we're certainly happy to try and help them build that.
Very exciting. So we're going to see lots of different projects and developers using this. This is really very exciting for everyone. I think I'm going to move to DNI. DNI, you have a couple of questions. So why don't you go ahead and ask your questions there.
Well, I had the one I wanted to propose for sure. doing business in different countries around the world and dealing with business contracts, maybe Hugo, you could tell us or expand on the concept of maybe comparing smart contracts to business contracts and maybe the differences and maybe advantages of using a smart contract in a scenario where before the only option would have been maybe just a standard business contract. And I say this because of the differences of enforceability of rule of law in different countries around the world. It's not the same, in the West. I think, if you haven't done business outside of Western type business landscapes, the enforceability of contracts is a fluid concept. It depends on who you are and a lot of other variables. So I'm wondering if you could just compare the differences maybe or the advantages of a smart contract over a business contract or to that effect.
Absolutely. So let's just address the misnomer, I think, of the word smart contract. It's not a legal agreement. What a smart contract is a program that runs on a blockchain. Essentially, it's a bunch of code that sets up different rules to do different things. So, for instance, on the Flare network in the XRP system, we're using a smart contract to administer collateral, depending on how people act. And that's a concept that we, not just us, but I think many people involved in smart contracts and blockchains think is probably applicable more widely to the business world, which is, if you can get those parties in some way using the blockchain, and there are different ways you can think about doing that. In fact, a piece of technology that has been sort of built by Flare to observe the XRP ledger is something that could potentially be adapted to observing other external systems. And so once you can observe performance or non-performance of things that are essentially agreed upon, and let's say we've agreed upon those by codifying or building a smart contract, then you can enforce the performance or non-performance using something like collateral. And really that's what the XRP system is doing. It's doing it between two blockchains, but that is no reason for that model of how to enforce actions using financial incentives rather than legal incentives or legal sanction. There's no reason that model shouldn't and couldn't be extended to other modes of doing business. And actually, that's really exciting.
Yeah, that's what caught my attention, is that extra component of enforceability and accountability that you build in versus, like, say, a standard business contract where you have to go to the court system if there's a non-execution of part of either party. You have to now go to the court system, where the smart contract, you already have it built in a way. I mean, I'm probably getting ahead of the game here, but I think you kind of get where I'm going with that.
In the way that XRP has made, or can make cross-border transactions very, very much cheaper and faster, this could make business and the enforceability of, business agreements in a way, and it's a smart contract, it's not a legal contract,
right?
But it makes enforceability an awful lot cheaper and an awful lot faster.
Right. And an extra component of like safety, really, financially. So that's really good. And the other question I had was just about like milestones. I was kind of thinking further down the road, but even any near-term milestones that you guys might be looking to achieve. I don't know if that's reaching too far forward, or but that was something I was interested in hearing what you guys kind of have on deck.
Absolutely. So Flare doesn't discuss milestones as a project, because that would be quite complicated for us. We have a singular milestone right now, which is to launch essentially what we have put forward in the white papers. And once those have been launched, then the foundation will be set up as part of that launch, and the foundation will be helping the network expand or build out, and helping people come to the network, I guess proselytizing the network somewhat, and just generally sort of working on behalf of the network in a decentralized way, led by the Spark token holders.
Okay, great. Thanks. Well,
yeah. Thank you,
go ahead,
Dinai.
Heidi.
Yeah, I think the question I'm going to go to is one that came from Mickey B. Fresh. He wanted to know what the capabilities are that come from using the Ethereum virtual machine. I thought that was a good question.
Cool. So I guess we can say that at the moment, the Ethereum virtual machine and the language that comes with it, Solidity, is essentially the de facto standard for smart contracts. There have been other projects in the space, and there are other projects, and there will be probably new attempts at creating smart contracts. But the Ethereum virtual machine is the standard today. Absolutely, almost everything you hear about in DeFi, in stable coins, all those projects that are big on Ethereum are written are using the Ethereum virtual machine in a set of parameters and largely Solidity. So that is a key reason for why we've adopted the Ethereum virtual machine over other virtual machines, because it provides first of all, a deep pool of talent in terms of developers who are capable to quickly come to Flare and build, or let's take a sort of, for instance, a project that's on Ethereum. Now, that could very easily be either the people that originally built that could either bring that to Flare to serve the XRP market, or new entrepreneurs who understand or use Solidity can very easily fork that code and put it on Flare such that it also serves the XRP market. So that's one of the things that EVM gives us, and it's incredibly powerful over other potential virtual machine that we could use today. That doesn't mean that we're stuck with that virtual machine forever. If there's a reason to upgrade a substantially safer, more secure, virtual machine in the future, then there's no reason we wouldn't upgrade. And we know that Xspring have funded Agoric, and what they're working on is absolutely awesome. It's just not, it's not in our first stage.
Yeah, flexible, really flexible. So can you tell us anything about Securitize? Maybe some of the immediate use cases or anything there?
So, I mean, let's do Securitize and various use cases that sort of we think are interesting. So, we're not Securitize and we can't speak on their behalf.
Right.
But first thing I'd like to say is, I just want to say we owe a debt of gratitude to Carlos Domingo at Securitize. He's been a big supporter of ours, I think, from the beginning or very early on, and he introduced us to XRP, to Spring. In fact, Vanessa at Spring, who is now on our advisory board. And we would not at all be where we are today without that introduction. So it's really important to say thank you to Carlos for that. So we announced a while back, and Securitize announced a while back that we're partnered to explore the issuance of security tokens on Flare for the XRP community. That is exactly, they were the first user of our test network, our private test network, and I had an email from Carlos this morning because I wanted to just double check what he wanted me to say, and he's absolutely happy for me to say, that partnership is still in existence, and we intend to move forward with that.
I'm happy to hear that.
That would be, one of the things is that's a real institutional use case where you can have, security tokens where the KYC has been done and that. So this is one of the powerful things that could be, useful for Flare, which is Flare can be fully decentralized, or it can also fit nicely into the regulatory space. And so that can coexist on Flare. It can coexist on most blockchains, but the point I made earlier about federated Byzantine agreement is that it's very difficult, to say that something's fully regulated if the nodes, can be controlled by people that that a business or a regulator is not comfortable with. So the important thing about Flare is that it's very decentralized, mm-hmm. but there is no control via the token. So the nodes are the nodes, and the nodes can change who they connect with at any moment in time. Mm-hmm. So that's very, very important. Which means that it can't be a concentration of control in some geographic area that is not compatible with existing legal standards.
Yeah, important.
And that's incredibly important. Mm. So, and if there did become a concentration of control, say all the nodes were for some reason based in some area, that can change very quickly, and there's nothing that can stop that from changing. Whereas if you have a token that owns the network, that token can stop that from changing. Yeah. So that's very important. Now, with regards to other use cases, we're well aware that people want to build stable tokens. Mm-hmm. That's a great use case. It immediately, allows for the sort of establishment of DeFi that has, been huge on Ethereum, on Flare. We're not totally sold with every DeFi project. There's an awful lot of stuff out there that is, dangerous, but there's some unbelievably great innovation that is actually really useful as well. And so we really hope that either people will come to Flare and build DeFi projects, or that the original builders will decide that Flare is also a great place for them to build. One of the things we're trying to do is bring together the XRP and Ethereum ecosystems, because that would be a huge amount of value.
Wow. Yeah.
So, that's an immediate use case. And then, we've had conversations with various partners, including, Spring. And one of the use cases that we know that they're interested in is, people being able to essentially lend XRP. Mm-hmm. Now, that is, not on the RippleNet side. Mm-hmm. Must clarify that. It's definitely, we're not talking about the lending of XRP on RippleNet, but we are talking about the lending of XRP in a decentralized smart contract environment. Right. And that's one of the core reasons why we built FXRP, is that we're in the process of building FXRP, is that, once you have essentially XRP on Flare, you can then lend that out in the ways that DeFi has sort of allowed that to exist. And then that's extremely useful for groups like Celsius, who are talking to us with regards to supporting the token distribution.
Yeah, I did see that. I saw a little bit of that in that tweet from Mr. Garlinghouse. So yeah. Okay, D&I, I'm going to let you do Sam's questions, and then we'll get close to wrapping it up before we just let Hugo talk at the very end about the claiming process. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead, D&I, and do Sam's questions there.
So Sam I Am, otherwise known on YouTube, his channel is To the Lifeboat, submitted a couple questions. The first one, he asks, how will you plan to bootstrap the network? Can they live on the same server? What are the synergies that will drive adoption and keep FXRP utilized on Flare?
Cool. So I think let's dive into that question a little bit as to what it means. What does bootstrapping the network mean? Ultimately, that means, how are we going to get the first set of nodes that run the network? How are we going to get the first set of validators? We're really lucky there. Firstly, we're building great relationships with exchanges that are supporting us. And exchanges, when they're large, tend to run infrastructure on networks. They will tend to run a node just because it improves their safety. And so we get to we're already in conversations with various exchanges about running a node and helping them do that. Secondly, there's a very interested part of the XRP community that would like to run validators, nodes. And thirdly, unlike other FBA networks, so the other two that exist, is although we are the same as them in that we don't have any direct compensation for running a node, the Spark token, which is the native token, does have a sort of yield or component. And it does have what we would say is analogous to the mining component that other networks have. So we have the Oracle system, which is, I suppose, the analogous system to mining. And so that means that if you are offering essentially on behalf of Spark holders, let's say agents, the ability to be an agent, such that Spark holders can send their Spark to your smart contract, and you will be an agent on their behalf and distribute, the earnings from being an agent to them, and that can potentially be done in a decentralized way. That you would probably want to run hardware on the network in order to secure that business. The same is if you would like just to essentially be a miner or an Oracle provider on the network, is you would want to run hardware to be part of that Oracle, in a meaningful way. So that's I suppose why we're fortunate, and there are companies that do this professionally, and we are talking to them. I think that won't be too hard. Now, in terms of what was the second part of that question?
What are the synergies that will drive adoption and keep FXRP utilized on Flare? So,
let's just deal with the second bit because it's sort of the same whole question. The synergies that drive adoption is, people with XRP, they really want to be able to, lots of them want to be able to borrow against it. That's where a stable token comes in, or like a US dollar peg token comes in. That's where people with XRP would like to be able to lend it so that there's liquidity in the system. Again, that is something that I think, Flare will be potentially very useful for, to lend in a decentralized or manner. And so really it's what's on Flare that will drive the usage of FXRP. And of course Spark, because Spark underpins the value of FXRP. And so, we hope, we think it'll be DeFi, and then, to start with, and various ways that people can use their XRP tokens. And then over time, we really want to see, and we will certainly be thinking about and trying to encourage institutional type use cases to come on board.
Wonderful. Yeah. And then I think just one last question from Sam.
I got time. Okay. And this one, what can you tell us about what you are building for the launch / being useful for the deployment?
Okay. So what we're building for the launch, and this is all we're committed to building right now. So, we don't work on product. Product will be built by others. And if Flare, builds a product, that will happen, and that will be announced when it's built. So we don't give forward-looking statements. We're not committing to anything. So right now we're just committing to building the network as is defined in the white papers.
Gotcha.
Okay. Setting up the foundation as we've defined in the white papers. Gotcha. So one of the questions I would have liked to see, and I'll ask it of myself, I suppose, what is the purpose of the foundation? If that's cool. So
yeah, go ahead.
That's the purpose of the foundation. There you go.
So one of the things that we've seen with a lot of these projects is, or blockchain projects, is, you have very overly strong founders who become, like the de facto kind of, almost like figurehead of a network.
Right. Yeah.
And the reality is that all the value that will be built on Flare, almost all of it will be built by, external actors who aren't us. It's not our, if we're the only people building on Flare, that would be, a total, shame. This is a community effort. This is the idea of decentralization. This is for everyone's come together, and that's where value comes. And also, it's really important that people experiment with ideas. This is what's happening with DeFi now. almost nothing that's being built in DeFi is acceptable for institutional usage. But I guarantee you that an awful lot of the things that the ideas and the concepts that are being played with will probably end up as meaningful components of the future financial environment. And so this is a group effort across essentially, the entire space to build applications and tools that are useful to people and that improve our lives. So the foundation is there so that it's not related to the corporation. It's not related to me and Sean. Of course, the team will work for the foundation, but they're not going to run the foundation. And me and Sean and the team, we're not going to be responsible. We're not going to be the key decision makers in terms of really important things. So, we're not going to have the final say on expenditure. We're not going to have the final say on potential technical upgrades. We will do the stuff that needs to be done day to day, and we'll have, we'll be able to make small decisions over, okay, we'd like to use this library, of code or whatever, but we're not. There needs to be a more robust process for making long-term strategic decisions or using the money that the foundation earns. And so we're building we're identifying and interviewing individuals who have, knowledge in the space, but also are well respected, to sit on a board at the foundation to essentially oversee the ethics, the investment, the decisions that are being made, and to essentially allow those decisions to be made. Obviously, we as a team, we are well placed to propose certain things, but I don't want it to be our role forever to be, the owners of this network, so to speak, in other people's eyes. It's very important that this is decentralized. This is why there's so much governance built into the Spark token.
I'm really glad that you addressed that and brought that up. And I think we're going to close with just giving us any sort of information you want on the claiming process, because I know you have really received a tremendous amount of questions.
Sure. Okay. Let's just deal with that. So we put out a blog, I think, a week ago that deals with the claiming process. And I appreciate that it may not be for everyone. So the claiming process, let's think about a couple of things to do with that. The first is, if you have an escrow and your account is the destination of that escrow, you will receive your Spark related to that escrow if you claim. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, we don't see any information about your claim. We don't see any information about you, only what's on the public ledger. Because I know some people think, oh, this is a way to do it, identify who owns this XRP. But the only way we could identify who owns the XRP is if people know who owns the XRP account. And there's some sort of guides or tips in the blog about claiming Spark, about how not to link up all your accounts such that such that you can preserve your privacy. So those are two of the big things. The third thing is, so the claiming process is really very simple. You just need to generate what is a flare address, which is essentially an Ethereum-based or Ethereum sort of style key pair. And you can generate that in a sort of standard way using many of the applications that have been put out to, not by us, but have been put out to generate that kind of key pair. One is my Ether wallet, and there's a huge amount. One is MetaMask. There's loads of other variants. We are absolutely not endorsing any particular version. We don't have the ability to do that. So there's lots of ways to generate an Ethereum key. And then all you're doing is you're updating a field on the XRP ledger related to your account that is called the message key field. You're simply inserting your Ethereum key that will be your flare address into that message key field. You just have to insert it in the style, in the way that's dictated in the blog. So that means putting a 02 followed by 24 zeros, followed by your Ethereum key into the message key field. Now, I appreciate that is more complicated than some people have the tolerance for, or the knowledge, or feel comfortable to do. So, many of the wallets we speak to, or we hope will put out guides to allow people to do that. Visa Wind already did that with Zoom, and it's amazing. And I think about the 900 or a billion tokens that have been claimed are basically because of Visa. We would really like other wallets to put out guides as to how you do that with their wallet. We can't do that because there's so many wallets. We just don't have the ability to do that for everything. Things like ledgers, that's been done. Other hardware solutions, we're looking into, or at least it shouldn't be overly complex, and the people that control that sell that hardware would hopefully put out a guide for that before December 12th. Then the last thing is, if you keep your tokens with an exchange or some other financial provider where you're not the custodian, provided that they are a supporting exchange as listed on our website, they will handle all this for you. You may need to click a link on their website or something that consents them to send you the spot token, but otherwise they will handle the whole process for you. So that's a different way to do it.
Yeah.
So I hope that provides a little clarity.
I think it did very much so. What do you think, DNI?
Yeah, that helps out a lot. Yeah, a lot of people have the questions on this. So, and the feedback I've been hearing a lot is people are just waiting to see what exchanges get affiliated with it. So
I appreciate that.
So I'm sure people are still encouraged to push their exchange, right?
Absolutely. Please keep pushing, especially some of the larger U.S. exchanges.
Yeah, they're definitely interested. Like I said, but I've heard people say exactly that. Like, well, we're just waiting to see what exchanges are going to get involved. So you might, as you probably expect, a more of a, not a last minute rush, but as time goes on and more exchanges get involved, you'll see those numbers grow probably exponentially.
Yeah.
Sure. So exchanges may not put their message key in until last minute. They don't need to. They just need to show that they're supporting it. And all that an exchange needs to do is confirm to us that they intend to pass all of the fork proceeds to the XRP holders that are their clients. It must be all.
Yes.
It can't be less. They can't take a cut of it.
Yeah,
that's very important.
So if it does show up a little more than the 1-to-1 by chance of the way it's divided, the exchanges basically have agreed to pass all that on to the XRP nodes, not hold anything back. Yeah, exactly. I remember you.
If they do, we can't guarantee that they won't. We can't guarantee, nothing we can do. This is a decentralized network, but I suspect if they do, they will lose the respect of the XRP community, and I would have thought most of their XRP clients. So
yeah, it would be too much to risk there for doing something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Hugo, I'm just so thrilled that you took the time to do this, because everybody I know is just really wanting to know as much as possible about the project and about the potential and the capabilities. And this is really going to have a big potential. And I want to thank you so much for all your hard work. And please, I'm going to leave it to you to leave us any closing statement or comment that you like before we say goodbye.
Thank you. Well, I just want to say, having entered the XRP community, I guess, when we sort of started talking to Spring, there's a great amount of talent in this community. There's a great amount of passion. And, Ripple and Xspring do a really great job from our perspective. And now it's really up to us to take, the initiative and build on what's been built already. And that's what we're trying to do with Flare. And we're collaborative. We're not trying to, say to other projects like Ethereum, we're not trying to say we're coming to eat you. We want to build these communities together. And if we do that, collectively and with, integrity, we will create both a great amount of value for ourselves, but as XRP users and holders, but as we will create products and use cases that will be of really great value, hopefully, to the world. So
yeah, to the
that's my sort of finishing
market
comment,
cap.
and I really look forward to it, and we're unbelievably excited, and we can't thank everyone enough for the kind of reception you've given us, and we look forward to deploying this.
Thank you so much. That was a great way to wrap it up. I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you. Get your rest because you have a lot of work still to do. And yeah, and I hope to talk to you soon when we get an update, after the screenshot, after the claiming has been done, maybe again in 6, 7, 8, 9 months, we connect again.
Absolutely. Happy to.
All right. Thank you, DNI.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hugo.
What's your time?
Please
Thank you,
take
Eddie.
care.
Thank you, Hugo. Thank you, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
I'm going to just say goodbye to everyone.